Welcome back to another episode of DeLorean Tech. A whole bunch of new photos have dropped of the Back to the Future Part 3 Hot Toys DeLorean Time Machine Mark III. I'm going to let you guys know why I think this might be somewhat of a fail. For some of you guys, it's probably not a big deal, but for me, there's something seriously wrong with this car. So why don't we just cut to the chase, guys? So I mentioned this in my previous video, which covered the car as well. That was released a few months back, and let's go through some of these photos here. Now, I question why they took photos with the car with this setup. And when I say this setup, I mean this suspension ride height. The ride height in these photos is pretty much the equivalent of the Mark I and Mark II cars. And there's only one photo that captures what I would consider the more screen accurate look of the Mark III DeLorean Time Machine here. It's similar to the photos that are on the Sideshow site, and that is this photo right here. So if you look at this photo, you can see that the ride height is in fact adjustable on this car, which is actually pretty cool. It's definitely something that I think you're going to need to do if you want a screen accurate model. You're also going to need to have this ride height adjustable in order to perfect the train mode. So this is train mode. In order to portray this accurately, screen accurately, you're going to need to have adjustable suspension. So Hot Toys has confirmed that the suspension on this car, the ride height, is adjustable. Hot Toys is excited to unveil the Blogger Photos 1/6 scale DeLorean Time Machine based on the classic Back to the Future 3. Coming with adjustable wheels, turning it into a DeLorean off-road car. This new DeLorean Time Machine collectible is fully crafted with expert attention to detail to create its iconic appearance with hood box and rail wheels. So the rail wheels is actually my favorite version of the car. So this could be considered a Mark 3.5 or a Mark 3B, or the train car, right? So the Mark III-A is the DeLorean with the 1955 wheels on it before Doc Brown converted it over to a train car. So it measures 72 centimeters long. The entire vehicle applied with delicate weathering effects, features multiple LED light up points on the exterior design and interior controls. Signature glowing doors, highly detailed hood box with belts attached. Comes with detailed accessories such as firebox temperature device, alarm clock, and tow bar to recreate scenes. Wheel position is adjustable for traveling on the uneven open terrain. So that has been confirmed. Also, attachable rail wheels, converting it into rail DeLorean for alternate display. So there you have it, guys. We have a fully adjustable ride height setup. Now, they do not mention whether or not the car can be independently adjusted front and rear. That'd be cool, because if you look at the actual car from Back to the Future Part 3, it sort of has a higher nose to it. There's a little bit of a rake where the rear suspension appears to be a little bit lower than the front. I'm hoping that when I get mine, I'll be able to set it up that way. There's another big problem here that I'm not liking about the 1955 Mark III-A version of the car, and that is the wheels, okay? These center caps here, these chrome center caps, are way too small. That was one of the things that jumped out at me immediately. So in this frame here, you can tell that these hubcaps, I think they're hubcaps because I think you need to remove those in order to access the lug nuts in order to remove and take these off. These center caps or hubcaps or whatever you want to call them, these are way too small on the model relative to what we had on the movie car. Another thing you can tell right off the bat, that these tires are quite a bit larger than what you're seeing on the model as well. So here's another really good representation of what those hubcaps look like, and actually it looks like this one's about to come off, but look how big they are. And then take a look at what we have here for the model, right? These are pretty small relative to that. I would think that this could be fixed though pretty easily. I still think that these tires are actually a little too small it's kind of hard to say at this point, but when I look at the movie car, I feel like the tires are a lot bigger. Certainly the wheel center caps here, or these hubcaps, definitely need to be a little bit larger compared to what we're seeing here. So here's another comparison. You can definitely tell that they're a lot smaller. These appear to be about the same size as the wheels and tires on the Mark 1 and Mark 2, although without being able to compare those side by side, it's kind of hard to say. But these tires here, honestly, they just need to be a little bit bigger. And when you look at the car, when it's set up in the higher ride height, the tires look pretty small relative to what we've seen in the movie. Take a look at this, right? I mean, you could tell that those tires are much larger than what we had on the Mark 1 and Mark 2 DeLorean, stock DeLorean tires. These are actually front and rear are exactly the same size. So we'll have to take a look at that. Honestly, I think that they should have made the tires a little bit bigger, but I guess we're going to find out how that looks when we get the actual model. Again, you can kind of tell that the front is definitely higher than the rear. This whole car started off as a DeLorean. It is really a DeLorean with an engine swap and a lot of extensive frame and suspension modifications to it. So the studios, they handed it over to a 4x4 off-road dune buggy fab shop and told them, turn this DeLorean into a dune buggy. So they cut the suspension off, the frame off at the front and the rear, completely redid everything. It was amazing work. They also put a VW motor in the rear. It's got VW's off-road suspension on it. Tons of modifications went into this thing, and it was definitely off-road capable and definitely looks and presents itself as an off-road vehicle. It's just when I look at this, I feel like we're getting something that's likely not going to be very screen accurate. So for you guys who like the Mark III 1955 version, the Mark IIIA, you might be slightly disappointed in this. I honestly don't know. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'm really curious if this is a big issue for you guys. I'm more of a Mark IIIB kind of guy. I like the train car myself, and I'm actually pretty satisfied with what they've got. So as you can see in this photo here, you can tell that, you got Marty and Doc looking down. He's got his hoverboard here, and they're looking at the train wheels and the 1955 car wheels here, just kind of showing off that, yeah, you can swap those wheels out, the tires, for the train wheels, which I think is pretty cool. And you got this firebox temperature gauge on there, which is, sort of exclusive to the Mark IIIB car. A hood box, obviously, for both cars. I think the detail on the hood box is actually pretty good. I just kind of question why they chose this suspension height here to highlight the 1955 version of the Mark III. When you look at the sideshow photos, it's quite a bit different. So the sideshow photos really show the car with the suspension raised up, at least the 1955 version, which I think is, the way it should be. I'm hoping that you can actually independently adjust this car's ride height. You can raise the front relative to the rear separately. That would be the way to go. That would really fix this a lot. Actually, these ones here look a bit different on this prototype car. These actually look better. I don't know why they didn't go with something like this. Maybe one of the guys in the 6 scale community can 3D print us some more accurate 1955 wheel and tire setup. So this actually looks quite a bit better than what we're getting. Of course, this is a prototype. I don't even know if this photo has been altered in some way, but what we see here is definitely not what we're going to get, guys. So what is shown in this photo is quite different from what we're going to get, which is portrayed in this photo right here. I don't know why they opted to go with this as opposed to this. This looks a lot better to me. You've got the larger center caps here. You've got a more prominent white wall feature on the tires than you do over here. Much smaller sort of inset wheel caps and less pronounced white wall tires. And when you look at the tires themselves, you can tell that I think they kind of nailed it in that prototype. So if you look here, you can tell this is quite a bit better. Unfortunately, we're not going to be getting this. This photo right here seems to indicate that you might be able to raise the front a little higher than the rear, although that might just be how it's sitting on this particular surface right here. Honestly, don't know. This photo looks not bad. So the interior in the car looks pretty good, a lot like the Mark II. You got a lot of details going on here. You have the lit rear thrusters in the back. You've got Mr. Fusion. You got that 2015 license plate. Unfortunately, we still have to deal with these inaccurate taillights, and you've got the sort of reversed embossed DeLorean logo type here in the rear bumper that I've pointed out is screen inaccurate. I honestly don't think they're ever going to be fixing this stuff. It is what it is. So other than the ride height in these photos, I think the car actually looks pretty good. Definitely very nice here. You know, it really is a Mark II vehicle without the hover mode. So this is pretty cool. I really like the look of this interior here. So that is pretty nice. You've got a lot of cool features here. So the hood box detail is actually really nice. I honestly hope it's going to look like this when we get it. I don't know if this stuff lights up. I'm hoping it will. I remember seeing some photos showing that this tube here lights up. That would be really cool if we were to get that. So the train car version of the Mark III, the Mark IIIB, if you will, is my favorite version. I don't know that we'll be getting any train tracks for this, but that would be cool. Hopefully someone in the 6 scale community will put together some train tracks for us that will be compatible with the car. So for display purposes, we've got something to put this thing on. Sort of like the Eagle Moss version, you had some train tracks that were included as part of the kit, and you were able to display it in that configuration if you so desired. So you can see that the car is going to be weathered. And when I say the car, I mean the stainless. So you can see right here, there's going to be some of that splatter that they put on the car. That's going to simulate all the dirt that you saw on the car in the movie. So obviously in the movie, the car was quite dirty. And in order to capture sort of that dirty, sort of weathered look to it, I mean, look at all the dirt on this thing. They decided to use the similar weathering technique that they did on the tires for the Mark II, which I was not a very big fan of. So unfortunately, that's what they did. And we'll see how it looks. I'm a little worried about that. I don't know what it's ultimately going to look like, but you know, I guess we'll have to wait and see. So one of the reasons why they had the adjustable suspension was because if you look at the train car, the Mark IIIB, you can tell that the car is quite low to the ground compared to your 1955 Mark III. So in order to go back and forth between the two modes, you had to make the suspension adjustable. It would have been cool if it had been a little bit more screen accurate. The reality is you can't have the best of both worlds. It is what it is. I think they still did a pretty good job. I feel like with the train version of the car, the wheels could have been more inset, but it's not too bad. So overall, the Hot Toys train version of the car, I think they did a pretty good job. I mean, I think it looks pretty good compared to the car in the movies. It is definitely a lot lower in appearance than the other iterations of the car. So drop a comment down below, guys. Let me know if you agree that these wheels and tires are unacceptable when it comes to the Mark IIIA version of this car. Honestly, I think it's a major issue. I will not be displaying the car in this mode anyway. So it is what it is. I prefer the train version myself. But for those of you who prefer the 1955 version, let me know what you guys think. Drop a comment down below. And once again, thanks for watching.